We are technically now halfway through Chronicles, having completed 4 of 8 blocks. But the later blocks are so long, it's closer to 1/3 of the way done. Now we are on to the clock tower. First thing you're going to notice is the anxiety-inducing music, to prepare us for an anxiety-inducing level. You can get yourself a hidden axe if you are willing to make 2 nearly pixel-perfect jumps over instant death spikes. But it is useful to have in this vertically oriented stage. The skeletons here have very ineffective armor, but they aren't half bad with their swords, so it is much safer to attack from below than head-on. From here we can go up the left side of the screen or the right. The right side is the objectively correct choice, but I hate myself and I want to die, so I'm trying the left-hand path. The platforms on the pulley are easy to deal with, but they'll only take you so far before you gotta switch to the ones that flip around and try to dump you. Also, those ones only start flipping once they are scrolled on screen, so it is possible to align them in such a way that progress becomes nearly impossible, and you have to drop back down and reset them. There's also instant death spikes at the very top that makes the dismount the hardest part. I surprised myself with how well I dealt with all of that, but I missed most of the prizes along the way, because you have to catch them in midair or else they'll fall through the platforms. And the only prize that matters was on the right-hand path anyway. It's that cross that I collected. On hard mode, this section spawns even more bone pillars, but on their own, bone pillars are pretty harmless. Having more of them just means more time wasted before you can move on. The next section is more platforming over spinning gears. These ones are spinning pretty fast. The one spinning away from us is ridiculously fast, and has a crushed corpse stuck to it. It's impossible for us to suffer the same fate though. With the direction the gears are turning, we just get dumped into the spikes. On hard mode, if you ride any of these platforms as low as they'll go, the chain snaps and you have seconds to leap to safety before you die. It is still possible to summon that crown though, and collect it without dying. You just have to be really, really fast. I could just jump past this spike pendulum now that it's hit me, but no, I must show the correct way to do it. And the candle right on the other side of the spike pendulum would have had a cross in it if we didn't already have a cross. They might be telling us to get ourselves a damn cross and maybe upgrade it a few times. If I'd used it to kill those fleamen while they were still in their cage, I'd be much closer to an upgrade now. Found ourselves a hole in the wall with nothing inside. Should we choose to just awkwardly stand in there for a while, we get a 1-up pickup, which looks really out of place in this game. But I think that's the only 1-up pickup in this entire game, so I guess they didn't need to bother too much with that sprite. It's the only time they're going to use it. This will wrap up the second stage, which means that's the last checkpoint of the video. Got a really long section up the remainder of the clock tower. And there's the gimmick of the section. It's in severe disrepair, and cogs are just falling off of the wall. I guess it's nice that you're able to change their momentum and move them out of your way by whipping them, but that mechanic really doesn't come into play that often. Especially because any wall except for the one at the very bottom they'll bounce off of and just keep rolling around. They provide us with an axe and a good target to use it on, but if you try that, it'll probably break open all those candles to the right there, as well as the hidden meat pickup that is just above those candles, and they'll all be wasted before you can get over there. In fact, it's really hard to get to these candles. You have to position the tilting platform just so that your head hits the spinning drill thing above them. Then you just have to know which candles have what you want inside, and open them with surgical precision, and you can have any sub-weapon you want with a free upgrade. And it's interesting to note that for the original Castlevania, they planned to have way more than just the 5 now iconic sub-weapons. They released an anniversary collection in 2019, which came with a digital book that featured design documents for the original games. The Castlevania 1 documents showed things like plans for a garlic sub-weapon, which would temporarily repel all on-screen enemies. They also showed a bird familiar that would automatically attack nearby enemies for a limited number of uses. They had Excalibur itself, which would clear the entire screen, including bosses. I have no earthly idea how that would have worked. And of course, there was a wooden stake, without which Dracula would be undefeatable. Similarly, there was a pistol loaded with silver bullets that would instantly kill a werewolf. However, there is no werewolf in the finished Castlevania 1. Of course, there would have been, but the only one they mentioned in the design documents was Simon himself. There would have also been a lycanthropy subweapon, which would, when used, temporarily make your whip attack stronger. Because Simon is a civilized warrior, he's not going to get his hands dirty, even after transforming into a wolf. These peeping eyes we've seen have a lazy chase routine to them that usually puts them just slightly above your whip attack, making them very, very irritating in this section. Much like the falling cogs, they really slow things down, as you have a very small area in which to manipulate them into a position where they can actually be killed. Glad I had all that cut content stuff to talk about to kill time as I get to the end of this stage and the boss fight, which is one of my favorite moments of the entire game. Yes, all their werewolf plans for the original Castlevania finally came to fruition with Chronicles. She's another extremely fast and dangerous boss. The easiest way to mitigate that danger is to fill the air with crosses. Hopefully they can absorb some of the attacks because they're just too fast to try and react to most of the time. She'll just relentlessly pummel you with stuff until she gets to 4 health, breaks a hand off the clock, and clubs you to death with it. Which I'm okay with because I definitely wanted to see more of this boss. Showing her pre-transformation is a brilliant move. First you get to see a really cool transformation, but you also get to see that she means us no harm. You get the impression that she'd be fine letting us pass, but she's driven to uncontrollable violence by her curse, which gives the entire fight a tragic underpinning that perfectly encapsulates the themes that are present in most classic monster movies like, for example, the Wolfman. In this way, it conveys the same melancholy as the Jenny boss fight from Splatterhouse 1, all with a wordless elegance. It's easy to believe that we're fighting the collected hordes of evil on our quest, but this moment makes us consider that perhaps they are all helplessly subjugated by but one single evil, that of Dracula, and that this makes them more our victims than our enemies. Also, you can change the time that appears on the clock face during that fight by using the Konami code at the game's title screen. Fun fact: